Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Loose Lugs. I'm your host, Chris Osborne. Justin Lewis is not here today. We'll catch him next week. Let's talk about Talladega a little bit. It's going to be a short show. I have a clip ready for you guys. It was the Cup Series finish. It was fun. We were at the track this weekend. There was wrecks in all three races that kind of left me in awe at how hard the hits were. In particular, the ARCA race, for those of you that did not see, there were two wrecks that were bad. The one with the 66 car of, I think his name's Thomas, but his last name was Melton. I'll have to look that up. I feel bad for not knowing his first name. He was hit pretty hard. They had to cut the top off the car. It was a bit of a scary moment. We're still waiting on better word on his condition, but hopefully he's all right. Let's roll into this clip from the Cup Series finish. That was wild. I mean, I saw this finish in 3 and 4 and was thinking, wow, Eric Jones is going to get his first win for Petty and first win of the season. And then, just that quick, he's not even in the top 5. So that's how fast it happens here. Let's roll right on into it.
But then those two Toyotas were able to get together. But what could they do? Here's the last lap.
Right here when the 45 goes outside, I thought, well, this race is over.
But see, Kurt Busch pulled the one car off of the 5. That gave opportunity for the 3 car to get on the 1. Here comes a huge push
way too far
to the 5 of Larson. What's he do with it? He goes for it, gets a massive block, as you knew you would. Almost turns
and
Kurt
right there
Busch
above
and
the wall,
everybody else.
hard in the outside wall.
Open the door up for Ross Chastain to win the race.
And
Talladega, baby.
Eric Jones went up to block, made the right move, but ended up 6th.
Great car, great job by him. Just wasn't his day. Had to make the right. You knew the run was coming.
You
You
Corey
heard
LaJoy
his
down there
spotter telling,
spinning
don't get too
across the
far
finish
out.
line.
Well, it's too late now. I got to go.
4 wide at the finish. Austin Dillon finishes 2nd. That's the 3 car finishing 2nd 2 days in a row here. Jeffrey Earnhardt and Austin Dillon.
Anyway, it was a good finish. Congrats to Ross Chastain for again, being in the right place at the right time. I would say he was pretty much the same at Coda. He used his bumper to get in the right place, but that's what you do in racing. You can't take that away from him. And here, he just stayed the bottom. He just never came out the bottom. He let Eric Jones put the block on Kyle Larson, and the rest was history. Bubba was shaking after that wreck. He was, I'm sure he has a concussion. We'll probably hear about that later. The way he was walking away, he was hurting. His whole body will be sore for a few days, but all in all, I think he's okay. It was a good finish. It happened right in front of us. I was standing looking at the Jumbotron so that I could see them on the back stretch. And then I looked forward to see what was going on the track. And in that short amount of time, Eric Jones had gone from first to I'm not even sure at that point. So until I saw the replay, I didn't know Eric Jones was not leading at the start-finish line. It was a very quick exchange. I would say in about a 10-second span, he went from 1st to 6th. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, it was a good, fun weekend. Got a little sunburnt, as you can see. But we had a good time. All 3 races were really good. The nationwide race was really good. I was not expecting Noah Gragson to be the guy. When Justin Allgaier ran out of gas and moved up out of the way, I mean, Noah took advantage right away, took that chance, and came home with the win. He's been really good this year. I think he will be a player in the championship 4 at some point. this year. He's looked great. So congrats to him. And then the ARCA race, Nick Sanchez, that race has been criticized. They ended the race early. I think there was about 10 laps left. They threw a caution and ended the race. But in the ARCA rule book, because there's a doubleheader, they can do that. They had a red flag for the 66 car wreck where they had to cut off the top of the car. So their race was already over its scheduled time. And with the Xfinity guys waiting to get in, it's not just getting the cars on the track. You got to understand it's time to get everyone out of pit road, out of the pit boxes, so the Xfinity guys can, set up and be there on time. It was a lot of things that went into calling that race, not just a caution and, the rest is history. There was a lot that that took place. So I know a lot of fans were upset about that, but there's more to it than just, well, let's switch the cars out, and there's teams that have to set up. So it happens. Nick Sanchez is not upset about that. He got the win. He had a good car all day. He didn't have the best car. I think that went to Drew Dollar. Drew Dollar was killing it early on. But once he got shuffled out of the lead, I don't think he got back inside the top three at any point. It was hard for him to get back up there. And it was a good weekend for really NASCAR and ARCA in general. The stands were packed on Sunday. They were pretty full on Saturday, maybe not as much as it was on Sunday, but a good crowd, good races. And now we moved it over for the Cup guys and the Xfinity. That's a fun track. The Monster Mile has always been hard on crew chiefs. And Alex Bowman's your defending race winner. He will be a favorite. I think this is the track where you see Chase Elliott get his first win of the year. He has been getting closer. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he had a really good car in Martinsville, and it didn't work out. Byron had a slightly better car. And before that, I felt like he had a decent Richmond car. The win's coming. Chase is running well. He finished 7th here at Dega. Didn't have a great car. He was in the mix, but I don't think he had a car capable of driving to the front quite like Eric Jones and Kyle Larson did during the day. But I think this weekend coming up at Dover, this is another Hendrick track where they run really well. I think they get the win, and I think it's Chase Elliott. If not, I'm going to go with William Byron with a chance to win race number 3. It's interesting that Ross Chastain, we're talking about him winning at Dega, had 0 wins this season. And now he has 2 in the last 5 weeks. I was going to talk about that. Thanks for bringing that up. So I was actually standing there next to him. Someone else. It was Bob Pockrass and Claire B. Lang, a couple other guys that were talking to Kyle about the contract status. You could see his body language that he's upset. And then his words, ask Joe Gibbs. I don't think the contract talks are going the way he wants, and I'll explain why I think he's out after this year. His current contract, 16-something million. I mean, it's almost 17 million. His primary sponsor, M&M's, Mars, they're dropping out of NASCAR. They've been a part of the NASCAR family since 98, but even before then, we had an Ernie Irvan M&M's car. They've just been as committed as could be since 98. That's a long time in the sport. It's a lot of money that they've put towards teams, over the years. They were Kyle's sponsor when he was with Hendrick, and they followed him over. I think a lot of the money that he gets in his annual contract comes from M&M's and Monster and some of his other, ventures and sponsors. So I think right now where Joe Gibbs and Kyle Busch are, they're trying to find a sponsor that's going to fill that gap. I don't think Joe Gibbs can pay him $17 million a year out of pocket and get the one miracle win at Bristol a year. I mean, last year he had 1 win, but it was in the playoffs once he was already out. He's had a bad couple years. I mean, his luck this year has been awful, but he's had a bad couple years. He's not the same Kyle Busch we saw in 2019, for sure. So, and I attest that to, and he will too, the lack of practice. One thing that Kyle's always been great at is getting out there, running some laps, telling his crew chief very well, this is what's wrong with the car. This is what I need done. And then they make adjustments properly, and he's better on race day. Well, with the cost-cutting moves by NASCAR, we hardly ever get a full practice session. I mean, they did 0 laps practice at Talladega. They only had qualifying. And I understand that, because why waste the tires and the fuel to run around in the draft when basically the race is practice? You get to the end by practicing for 160 laps and then prepare for the last 28. So I understand that part. But for Kyle Busch, he's needed that practice to improve his race day function. So since 2020, he's not been that driver. He hasn't shown up at any track and dominated like he had before. So I think that rolls into, where Joe Gibbs is looking, and, his affiliates and partners for next year. Dustin and I have said on this show several times, this is the last year for Kyle Busch. He might retire. He's jokingly said he'll be Brexton's truck driver next year. He might be onto something. I think maybe this is the end of the Kyle Busch era in NASCAR. I don't think he'll run Xfinity full time. That's not something he'd do. And he's so woven into Toyota's plans. His options are get a contract from Gibbs, which is increasingly less likely, or transition to maybe the 45, because I do strongly believe, I asked Kurt Busch in the media center, what's the plans for next year? He said it's too early. I don't think it's too early. I think it's too early to talk about it. I think he has had a great career, and I think it's time for him to hang it up. And not because he can't cut it by any means. Kurt Busch is still doing really well. He's helping build that 2311 team. I think it's just time to hang it up, because he's been there and done that. There's only 2 drivers left from the 2002 Daytona 500. And we talked about this again before. Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch, the only 2 people that drove in that race that still drive today. And there have been so many drivers that have come in. Jimmy Johnson, retired, and they're gone. Jeff Gordon, gone from that era. There's nobody left but those 2 guys. So, I think the time is right for Kurt to call this his last season. I think he's done Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin a big favor by bringing veteran leadership to that team. But you can kind of see it in Kurt's face. He's got to be getting ready to call it quits and enjoy a Hall of Fame career. He is a Cup champion after all. But I think that might be a possibility, is moving over, if the money's there, for Kyle to continue racing there. That's his only option, because Toyota, like I said, he's so woven into Toyota's plans and sponsors and this and that. I don't think he could switch and drive a Ford. I don't think he would. Or go back to a Chevy. I don't think he would. So those are his options as far as I can tell, unless they do come to some kind of a big sponsor deal and a contract to keep him there for maybe one more year. But, Ty Gibbs is coming. He'll be in a car next year in the Cup level. And I've had this conversation with people around the NASCAR community that, last year said there's no way Ty Gibbs is 2 years away. There's no way he's 1 full season in Xfinity and 1 in Cup ready. And I'm not saying he's ready. He probably is ready. But I'm not saying he's ready. I'm saying he'll be there. His grandfather owns the team, of course, and he has sponsor backing. He has plenty of sponsors lined up to sponsor a kid that is winning at a very high success rate. We're talking 1 in 4 races, I believe, is what they said he gets a win. 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, but that's crazy. It's crazy good. And whether you like a driver or not, sponsors pay winners. They want to see their brand in victory lane, and the more wins he gets, the easier it is for him to land big sponsors. So money train back to Gibbs, put him in the Cup level. Who knows? Maybe Mars says, if you're putting Ty Gibbs in that car, maybe we'll stick around for one more year. I'm not saying that's even an option. I'm just throwing it out there. I do believe they're sincere and they're backing out of NASCAR, and it's been a long time. Like I said, they put a lot of money into it. All this to get back to the contract talks. I do think this is Kyle's last year at Joe Gibbs. I think he retires after this, and I think Ty Gibbs steps into that seat. I still think Martin Truex Jr. might retire. We may lose 4 championship drivers this year in the form of Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, all retiring. I think at least 3 of those are gone. And we've said it for weeks now. Martin Truex Jr., I think that announcement is just weeks away. I would say middle of May, maybe a little bit later, but I think by the time we get to Darlington, I think that announcement is out there. And maybe the same for Harvick. Yeah, sponsors like winners, definitely. They've always followed the champions. They've always followed. Look at the commitment that GM Goodwrench made to Dale Earnhardt. He would not have had that support if he wasn't winning championships left and right and races. They were one of the most talked about sponsors for over a decade. The GM backing in a Chevy car. That's basically like having Toyota sponsor your Toyota race car. The money's there, the check's going to be there, and definitely the resources will be there. And they follow winners. So anyway, it was fun. I'm exhausted. I'm going to tell you guys, I started walking out of the garage at 10:30 on Saturday. And I think we got back in the car at maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30. And that is not a small garage. If you haven't been to Talladega, between pit road and the other side of the garage is probably about 3 or 4 football fields. And we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Same thing Sunday. But Sunday we got there a little later because the Cup Series started at 2. But we still got our work in. I think we got a lot of stuff done. Some good interviews. I think the biggest takeaway was that, the ARCA, like I said, with the ARCA race, people were upset that they ended the race early, but the bigger series was the Xfinity series, and they wanted them to start on time. To do that, they had to end the other race. And it's not personal against ARCA drivers by any means, but there's a lot that goes into transitioning from one series to another in such a short time. Those guys have to pack everything up they have on pit road, including their box, get it off pit road so that the Xfinity guys can set up. And it's one of the unseen things. You don't see that on TV. I didn't really pay much attention to it when I was there last year, but this year, you can see these guys hustling to get everything put away, packed away, moved out so the next team can move in. It's hard on these guys. That's why they make good money. That's why they're in such good physical condition to be able to move all that stuff so quick. I think that's about it, though. I feel like we had covered some things. I put out a pick for Dover, and I think it's definitely Hendrick. Definitely. And this is going to be the next gen car test so far. This is going to tell you how the car is really going to handle going forward. This is a temperamental track. Dover is. The setup's hard. It's the wear and tear factor because the G's going down in the turns. I talked to Eric Jones last year. He said Dover is definitely the most G-packed track that the Cup guys go to because you literally get thrown into that seat when you go into the turns. You go from a small slant down into that turn and around the corners. It is wears on your body, wears on the car, wears on the chassis. So we're going to see what the next gen car has to offer at this place. I'm just going to throw it out there. We're going to see tire problems. Probably right back to the left rear or even right rear. You're going to see tire problems, and you're going to see it in practice first, and then you're going to see it in race trim as well. Going to be a trying race. I will definitely tell you guys that. I'm ready. I'm excited. Staying home for this one, not going to Delaware. But we had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you get a chance, go on our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, click follow, click subscribe. That way you guys know when the show is coming up next. It's every Monday, 5 Eastern, 4 Central. Normally I have a co-host. He is out today. He's got some stuff to do, and it's Dustin Lewis. But we will be back next Monday to give you guys a recap of Dover and look forward to, I think the next race after that is Darlington, if I remember correctly. But everybody have a good work week, or just have a good week if you're not working, whatever you got to do. And we will catch you guys in a short minute and a half. Take it easy.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.